Hey everybody, the Atlanta Falcons beat the Green Bay Packers 44-21, blew them out of the stadium. And so we have to congratulate the Atlanta Falcons, but also celebrate and congratulate the city of Atlanta, a place that I spend about half my time, really Fayetteville, Georgia, lately because my mom is there. But we have to do so not just because of my own personal reasons and from that perspective, but because Atlanta, in the form of the Falcons, is a model NFL team with a model NFL owner in Arthur Blank, and it's a model NFL city. First of all, let's talk about the win. It was a great, exemplary game of the philosophy and coaching approach of head coach Dan Quinn, who I had the pleasure of interviewing at his first and my first NFL annual meeting 2 years ago. I was the first, and for a long time, the only media guy at his table. I went there specifically to talk to him first. And Coach Quinn outlined for me his blueprint for success. He learned a great deal from Seattle Seahawks head coach, his boss when he was defensive coordinator, Pete Carroll, and specifically focused on the construction of a very fast defense. That's something that Coach Quinn has preached from day one, and ball control offense. But Coach Quinn spent a great deal of time and focus on creating a Falcons defense that could not be quite literally outran to the ball, and he succeeded. Then, rather than going with the temptation of drafting a new quarterback, which he certainly could have done considering where the Falcons were at the time, he elected to stick with the veteran Matt Ryan, the Boston College star, and who was known as a great passer. At some points, a great passer, but was always hounded by the Atlanta media for mistakes he would make in big games, bad throws, interceptions, and so on. Instead of replacing Matt Ryan, nope, Coach Quinn went in the other direction, worked with Thomas Dimitrov, the general manager, and they built a new offense and a new approach with new offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan, then new offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan, and structured an offense that really hit its stride later in the 2015 NFL season and then took off to new heights in the 2016 season. So then we have to go back and focus on Atlanta itself. Arthur Blank, in working to build a new stadium, didn't threaten to take his team out of Atlanta, didn't threaten him to relocate the team to, say, Las Vegas, knowing that Las Vegas isn't a market that can work for an NFL team. Instead, Arthur Blank not only worked to keep the Atlanta Falcons, more than keep the Atlanta Falcons in Oakland, he worked a plan to build a new stadium in Atlanta. It was just a question of what kind of design and where it was going to go. And then Mr. Blank moved heaven and earth, quite literally, to work with the black churches in the area to make sure that they were not taken advantage of and were treated properly. And then he worked a financial deal which only cost the public $200 million of a total $1.5 billion stadium now called the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Arthur Blank is the chairman of Home Depot, former chairman of Home Depot, is a symbol of how NFL owners should work with their cities and embrace their cities and be part of the fabric of their cities rather than diss or trash or trying to leave their cities. And then there's Atlanta itself. From 2010 to 2015, Atlanta added 40,000 residents to its population. During the 80s and 90s, it lost 100,000 people to what they call a great urban exodus out of Atlanta into the suburbs. It's replaced almost half the people that it lost. Not exactly the same people, but you know what I mean. And then, of course, there's the dramatic impact the entertainment industry has had on the Atlanta and the state of Georgia and the region. Atlanta has went from quite literally nowhere 15 years ago to the fifth highest number of production projects in the entire world. That's higher than all but, in order, California, New York, and two other international locations. Then there's Georgia. That is dramatic. And between 2008 and 2015, film production spending in Georgia increased a whopping 500% and topped $1.7 billion in 2015 alone. Don't know what the numbers for 2016 are, but I would be surprised considering the constant production of, among other things, Marvel movies at Pinewood Studio, Atlanta, Fayetteville, Georgia, if the number wasn't even higher. So I could go on and on and on, but the other something that Atlanta has is a series or way that the city of Oakland can learn from. First of all, in embracing sports as economic development and having a plan for its sports teams and not either letting them go or rushing at the last minute to retain them. And then also truly embracing its black culture. Atlanta is unapologetically black. It is unapologetically Southern. It is one of the best cities in the entire country for women in the workplace. And it's affordable. In fact, Atlanta is a great example of how to provide affordable housing in the face of rampant growth. Oakland could take a lot of lessons from Atlanta. But I think the most important one is how to love itself. Oakland doesn't really express a love for itself that Atlanta does. And that's the biggest difference I can follow, and something that Oakland really needs to adopt and learn from and then use and grow from it. So there it is. Congratulations to the Atlanta Falcons and the city of Atlanta, headed to Super Bowl 51 in Houston.